Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Let's do this. Jaws 3D. Now, for those who don't know, the original Jaws, the first one, is my 9th all-time favorite movie. However, the third one is my 10th least favorite. Now, let's just go over all movies separately. The first Jaws movie, like I said, is so amazing I can't stop watching it. The second one is, okay, I guess. They don't really need it, though. There's this one, which you already know I hate so much. We'll talk about that later. The fourth one is also really bad. Now, I had to pick whether the third or the fourth one would be terrible. Most people would say the fourth one's the worst. In my opinion, however, it would have to go to this one. Mainly because it just has a lot more dumb stuff in it. The main gimmick of this movie is to be in 3D. There was this big trend where any time there's a third installment for a movie, they would like to make it 3D. But the only way to do that is to just have crap be thrown at you. Not actually utilize the 3D, just make it, take advantage of it, abuse it. We have this, we have Friday the 13th, Jackass, and all that. A lot of third movies like to do the 3D gimmick, and it just doesn't work. And this one being the perfect example, no. It's just so ridiculously annoying. Okay, I cannot take this seriously at all. Biodome. A comedy starring Stephen Baldwin and Pauly Shore, two incredibly unfunny actors. I haven't seen too much of them, but from the looks of this movie, I don't know if I should trust them anymore. These two actors try to be funny in the most ridiculous way ever. A story about them being trapped in a biodome where they decide to do all sorts of random crap in it. It results in them yelling stuff, kind of moving around, talking a lot. It's not funny. They're trying to be like a Jim Carrey style, but what comes off is something that's so annoying that you instantly want to turn the movie off. I wish I did that. Wish I didn't have to sit through this whole thing, but I did. I did it for you all. Nah, I'm lying. I only did it because I wanted to watch it, but man, I feel like I shouldn't have actually watched this. It's just, I can't stand it. It's so annoying. Battlefield Earth. What do you get when you have the actor John Travolta and put him in an action movie where he plays an evil alien? You have this. This movie is terrible for so many reasons. First off is the cinematography. It's mostly just camera angles that are annoying to deal with the shading of the lights just being also pretty obnoxious. And then there's of course Travolta's performance. He was on drugs, obviously. His performance in this movie is nothing like how he should act. He has that ability to talk in such a high voice, but that just doesn't work for the role he's playing. He comes off as annoying, has no good lines, and nor do many of the other characters. But the big issue is that he's the character you need to focus on, apparently. Any other character in this movie you don't really focus on much. You mostly just have to deal with what this character does. And that's not a good thing because, God, it's just so annoying. Jack and Jill. You've heard me talk about this movie before, so you get the idea. Adam Sandler is not funny all the time. I'm sick of people saying that. This movie is a good example of how unfunny Adam Sandler can be at times, with him pulling off the role of one simple dude, but then also having to play a woman. It's bad. No, you already know the idea, okay? Unfunny humor, loud, obnoxious stuff. It's like Biodome, except, no, it's worse. It's worse than that because you actually have to worry about it even more. It actually involves in the plot. You actually have to feel bad for them. No, you don't. I can't take this. This is just... No, I can't talk about this anymore. You've already heard it. This movie's terrible. Now, this is a movie that is honestly, unintentionally amazing. It's hilarious. So much fun. However, like I said earlier, I have to focus on movies based on how they are intentionally. Like, I have to focus on what I need to focus on. And unfortunately, from what this movie was trying to be, this movie is actually really bad. It's funny because the acting in this movie is awful, but that's honestly what's been taken from. The actor Tommy Wiseau, who also directed, produced, wrote, and pretty much did everything for this movie, has even stated that he agrees this movie deserves to be laughed at, and so it is. We take so much advantage of it. We like to watch it over and over again because it's funny. I just think it's hilarious. The Room is a bad movie, however, and from what I have to look at, I can't. The laughing I do get for this movie is the kind of laughing that I just cringe towards. It's cringe kind of laugh. And whenever I laugh at something via cringe type, that's kind of when I need to actually call the movie bad. So yeah, The Room is a funny movie, but it's still a bad one. Alright, so like I said in my earlier videos from the top 20 list, most of these on here are probably based on what I've seen from watching other people review them. Since most people who review them on YouTube or whatever actually go glimpse through the movie, and we kind of get to experience it too. So that's what I do with this. And yes, this movie is terrible. It's based on a trading card series about a bunch of garbage pail kids, each having gross abilities. They were somewhat of a popular trend to some kids, but when they got a movie, the popularity died down so easily. This movie is disgusting, of course, but the real issue is how it's presented. These creatures are presented as the type you're supposed to feel bad for. However, from everything this movie does, the whole movie is just them doing gross stuff. There's no real story to it. You don't really get much of a story. You just get these guys being gross. And that doesn't work, okay? Seeing a movie where they're just doing gross stuff, not really much of a plot that's happening. But when there is a plot, it's not something that's unique and fun to focus on either. No. No, I don't really know if anybody needs to watch this movie, so just get that it's disgusting and doesn't really have an interesting plot. That's just what you need to get out of this. Birdemic. I've talked about Birdemic before. This is a good example of a movie that is so bad it's hilarious, like The Room. However, again, I have to actually focus on what I'm supposed to focus on, and since I laugh at it via cringe type, it's a bad movie. The CGI in this is obviously the big issue. Trying to pay homage to the Hitchcock classic The Birds, which had really good effects, honestly, it ends up looking disgusting. The CGI for The Birds is terrible, and it's hard to actually focus on the movie when you have to focus on how bad the CG is. It's something to laugh at, and that's what I do. I can rewatch this movie because I find it funny, but not the good kind of funny. The good kind of funny is when you actually are supposed to laugh, but when you're not supposed to laugh, then this comes off as a terrible film, and that's what it is. A really terrible movie. Yes, I did watch a review of this. Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny is not something anybody can remember, or at all even know about, and they shouldn't, so maybe I'm just gonna not talk about this movie, because you get the idea. It's Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny. Yeah, there's these guys I've been watching. I don't know if I can remember the name right now, but they like to comment on lots of forgotten, terrible movies, and this movie isn't forgotten. It's just never heard of ever, not even from the time. So from what I've seen of this movie is awful. It could have made it as number one, but it's still not as bad as the top two. So I'll just say that at least it's not as bad as the top two, but it's still god awful. If you do want to watch how bad this is, you can find the full movie on YouTube because of how bad it is. Food Fight. You've heard me say it before. Food Fight is the worst animated movie ever. Bad animation, bad advertisement, literally, because the movie tries to be food advertising, and that just doesn't work, because what this does. This movie is a big failure at anything. What looks like it's supposed to be a fun crossover between lots of food mascots turns out it's a different, dull story with bad animation and really bad humor that just goes the worst out of any. I've seen some bad animated movies, okay? I've seen the Emoji Movie, but this is something that I would never watch again if I had to. Okay? If I was forced to watch it again, I wouldn't watch it again, okay? And that's just how bad it is. But what could possibly be my least favorite movie of all time? I mean, what could possibly be... Okay, come on, people. You know what it is. I've already talked about how bad Disaster Movie is. Every time I've talked about it, I've said this is my least favorite movie of all time. It still is. It has a reason to be called Disaster Movie, okay? This movie is indeed a huge disaster. I've already said enough. What more should I say? The acting is terrible. The freaking comedy doesn't work. It just throws in lots of random characters who were popular at the time without even actually focusing on a story. It just tries to be funny by showing off characters we knew about in bad ways that aren't really come off as funny. They just come off as obnoxious and annoying. We just want to keep pressing fast forward, but we can't because we're not allowed to. What more can I say? I've already said enough. Disaster Movie is the worst movie of all time. It's my least favorite movie ever. It is a huge disaster. I'll just say that. Disaster Movie has a reason to be called Disaster Movie. It was called that because they wanted to spoof on disaster films, but in total, this movie is itself a huge disaster. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about bad movies for a while. Next time you see me, I'm gonna talk about something good. I'm back. I'm going back to the good world because I'm graduating soon, and if I want to have a good graduation, I gotta get all these crappy thoughts out of my head. So next week, when I do a top 10, it'll be on good movies or or just movies I like. Because God, help me if I have to watch these again. I mean, maybe some of them I could watch, like The Room, for example. I'll watch that again just to laugh for. But still, take me out of this misery. Put me in something good. I mean, it can't be that bad. I'm not gonna act like movies are hell, literal hell. Like they're just bad movies in general. You know, for someone who likes to watch movies a lot, I will give these movies the shit they deserve. So, all these movies, eat shit.